Welcome to the Cosmic Whisper. If you're curled up in bed, the lights low, your mind softening after a long day, you're in the right place. This is where science doesn't shout, it whispers. Where curiosity doesn't rush, it lingers. And tonight, we begin a quiet journey into something deeply human, yet strangely mysterious. The world of dreams. We won't be hurrying through facts or throwing around complicated jargon. This is a slow science space, where the pace of thought matches the rhythm of your breath. Together, we'll explore what it means to sleep, to dream, and to let your mind wander when you're no longer awake, to guide it. As your body relaxes, your brain begins one of the most intricate, beautiful dances it performs, the nightly journey through stages of sleep. It drifts from light to deep and back again, eventually entering the vivid, flickering world of REM, rapid eye movement, where the stories begin. Stories your waking mind couldn't invent. Stories where logic bends, memory weaves into imagination, and emotions paint entire worlds behind closed eyes. But dreams aren't just fantasy. They're connected to your waking self more deeply than you might think. They carry echoes of your day, your thoughts, your fears, and your desires. Tonight, through the lens of soft-spoken science, we'll explore how your brain builds these inner landscapes, and why it insists on telling you stories while you sleep. So, as you sink deeper into rest, let the Cosmic Whisper guide you into the soft science of sleep, the place where biology meets poetry, and the mind reveals its quiet, secret language. A dream is one of those things we all experience, but struggle to define. Scientifically, it's described as a sequence of images, emotions, and sensations that occur involuntarily in the mind during certain stages of sleep, most often during REM, but that definition barely touches what dreams actually feel like. They're not just images, they're stories we live inside of. They're movies where we are the actor, director, writer, and sometimes the confused audience member too. Think of a dream as the original streaming service, broadcast straight from your brain with no subscription required. The stories it offers may not always make sense, but they're endlessly creative. One moment, you're flying over a city made of glass, and the next, you're back in your old school, unprepared for an exam you forgot to study for, despite having graduated years ago. You might have conversations with people who've passed away, or suddenly find yourself arguing with a talking tree in a language you didn't know you spoke. And yet, while you're in the dream, everything feels real. Not just believable, but emotionally real. You feel the fear of falling, the panic of being lost, the warmth of holding someone's hand, the joy of reunion. The brain doesn't hold back. It activates sensory regions, emotional centers, and memory networks, creating an experience that's vivid even when it defies all logic. The surreal becomes normal. In the world of dreams, physics don't matter. Deadlines blur. Faces change. People become symbols. Places dissolve into moods, and time stretches like soft clay. Yet you're not confused, at least not until you wake up. Why do dreams feel so emotionally intense? One reason is that during REM sleep, the amygdala, the brain's emotional command center, is highly active. Meanwhile, the prefrontal cortex, which normally adds logic and judgment, goes quiet. So emotions are experienced in their rawest form, without the filters we usually carry during the day. A dream about losing your keys can feel as painful as losing a loved one. A hug can feel transcendent. A mistake can feel like disaster. These emotions anchor the dream, making it feel unforgettable, even if the details dissolve with the morning light. At the Cosmic Whisper, we're not here to decode every symbol or assign hidden meanings to every odd image. We're here to simply notice, gently and curiously, that your mind creates entire worlds while you rest. Strange, vivid, emotional worlds that only you will ever walk through. That in itself is a kind of quiet magic. Long before brain scans and neuroscience, people looked to the skies and spirits for answers to their dreams. In ancient Mesopotamia, dreams were not just nighttime wanderings, They were sacred. Kings recorded them on clay tablets. Priests interpreted them as divine messages. If you dreamt of a flood or a lion or a strange bird, it wasn't just a dream, it was a sign. The gods were speaking, and it was your duty to listen. The ancient Egyptians took it even further. They had designated dream interpreters, people trained like oracles to decode the symbolic language of sleep. Dream books existed, filled with explanations for dream symbols. If you dreamt of a cat, it might mean protection. If you saw yourself drowning, perhaps danger was near. These weren't metaphors. They were considered literal truths from the spirit world. Urgent and personal. Fast forward to ancient Greece, and the story evolves again. Greek philosophers like Aristotle began asking if maybe, just maybe, dreams didn't come from gods at all. Perhaps they came from within us, from the body and the mind. Aristotle suggested dreams could be physical reactions, like the body processing digestion or fever. He opened the door for people to see dreams as a reflection of the self, not messages from the divine. Still, the mystical view held on for centuries. Dreams remained wrapped in layers of religion, prophecy, and poetry. They were seen as windows into something bigger, more mysterious than everyday life. But then came a dramatic shift, the 19th century, the age of psychology, and with it, Sigmund Freud. Freud changed everything. He didn't just say that dreams come from within, he said. They come from the deepest, darkest corners of the mind. To him, dreams were the royal road to the unconscious. They revealed our hidden fears, desires, and memories, especially the ones we don't admit to ourselves. A dream about climbing stairs might represent ambition. A locked door might symbolize repression. Even seemingly innocent dreams, Freud argued, were layered with sexual or aggressive meaning. He saw dreaming as a symbolic language our unconscious uses to speak while our waking mind rests. Then came Carl Jung, Freud's student turned rebel. Jung agreed that dreams had meaning, but he believed Freud's interpretations were too narrow, too personal. Jung looked beyond the individual and toward the collective. He introduced the idea of the collective unconscious, a shared reservoir of symbols and experiences all humans tap into. According to Jung, a snake in your dream wasn't just about your fears. It could be an ancient archetype, a symbol that carried weight across cultures and centuries. Dreams weren't just psychological, they were mythological, a thread connecting us to every human who came before. These early theories may not have been entirely correct, but they shifted the conversation. They moved dreaming from temples and tombs into clinics and couches. Dreams were no longer only spiritual, they became psychological, personal, complex, mysterious in a different way. In today's world, we still carry pieces of all these perspectives. Some people see dreams as messages from the universe. Others see them as echoes of the day, processed by the brain. Science has leaned into the biological, studying REM cycles, brain waves, neurotransmitters, but the poetry remains. Even the most scientific minds acknowledge that dreams still hold mystery, perhaps not from gods, but from the quiet depths of our own consciousness. At the cosmic whisper, we don't choose one view over the other. We simply listen to the ancient symbols, to the theories of Freud and Jung, to the modern scans that light up the dreaming brain, and to the part of you that knows, even if you can't explain why, that your dreams mean something. Even if that meaning isn't meant to be solved, only felt. Not all sleep is the same. While your body rests, your brain cycles through different stages, each with its own rhythm, depth, and purpose. Among them, one stage stands out like a hidden theater. Behind closed eyes, REM sleep. This is where the dream world truly begins to bloom. REM stands for rapid eye movement, named after the quick darting motion your eyes make beneath your eyelids. It's an odd clue that something vivid is happening behind the scenes. While your muscles remain completely still, paralyzed. In fact, your brain becomes wildly active. Brain scans during REM show patterns that look almost identical to when you're awake. It's as if a film is playing in your mind, and your eyes are quietly watching every frame. This temporary paralysis is called rematonia. It's your brain's way of protecting you. It stops your body from physically acting out your dreams. Without it, you might kick, run, or leap out of bed in sync with the strange stories unfolding in your mind. Instead, your body is held still, a quiet observer, while your brain does the moving. REM sleep usually begins about 90 minutes after you fall asleep. As the night progresses, these REM periods grow longer, starting at around 10 minutes and extending up to an hour by morning. That's why dreams often feel more elaborate or intense in the early hours. You're in deeper REM territory, where the brain has more time to build complex dream narratives, compared to non-REM sleep, which includes lighter and deeper stages like N1, N2, and N3. REM is a different world. Non-REM is about physical repair, rest, and recovery. It's where your body rebuilds tissues, restores energy, and strengthens your immune system. It's quieter, slower, denser. Dreaming can happen there too, but it's often scattered, abstract, more like impressions than stories. REM is the stage where the mind lights up and imagination is unchained. This is the brain's dream factory. It pulls from memory, emotion, fantasy, and fragments of your day to create vivid, surreal experiences. One moment you're speaking fluent French to a jellyfish, the next you're walking through your childhood home with a sense of eerie familiarity. The logic of the waking world fades, replaced by something stranger and more fluid. But REM isn't just for entertainment. It has deep purposes. Emotionally, REM helps you process the day's feelings. The amygdala, your brain's emotion center, is especially active during REM. If something upset you during the day, a conflict, a loss, a quiet hurt, REM sleep lets your brain revisit it in a safe, detached way. It's like turning emotional pain into a rehearsal, allowing you to feel it, replay it, and maybe soften it by morning. REM also plays a key role in memory. Studies show that people who get more REM sleep are better at remembering what they've learned. Students who study and then sleep retain more than those who pull all-nighters. REM organizes and connects information, sometimes in unexpected ways. It's a mental librarian, filing books while the lights are low. Creativity, too, finds a home in REM. Because the brain is free from daytime logic and control, it's more willing to experiment. Writers, artists, and musicians often wake up with fresh ideas or images they can't explain. It's during REM that your brain lets go of rules, and sometimes that's when new things emerge. A solution, a melody, a vision. At the Cosmic Whisper, we treat REM sleep with the wonder it deserves. It's not just a stage of sleep, it's a portal. A place where the conscious and unconscious meet in secret conversation. Your body may be still, but inside stories unfold, wounds begin to heal, memories find order, and creativity stirs. So when you surrender to sleep, remember that something important is happening. Even in the silence, even in the dark, sleep may feel like one long drift into unconsciousness, but under the surface, it's anything but still. Your brain follows a structured rhythm, moving through a carefully choreographed sequence of stages. This pattern, known as the architecture of sleep, is repeated again and again throughout the night like a looping symphony. Each stage has its own tempo, purpose, and contribution to your well-being. It begins with N1, the lightest stage of sleep. This is the gateway, the moment when you're just starting to let go. You're still aware of your surroundings, but they begin to blur. Sounds become distant. Your limbs may twitch. You might even feel as if you're falling, only to jolt awake. Brainwaves start to slow from the fast-paced beta and alpha waves of wakefulness to more relaxed theta waves. If someone wakes you during N1, you might insist you weren't sleeping at all. You're hovering on the edge. Then comes N2, a deeper form of light sleep. Your body temperature drops. Heart rate slows. Eye movements stop. The brain begins to show sleep spindles, short bursts of activity, and K-complexes, large waves that seem to protect your sleep by responding to external noise or disruption. N2 is like a buffer zone. You're not dreaming vividly yet, but your brain is shifting gears, preparing for deeper stages. You'll spend about half of your night in this stage quiet, restorative, and essential. From here, you descend into N3 deep sleep, also known as slow wave or delta sleep. This is the deepest, most restorative phase. The brain generates large, slow delta waves that sweep across the cortex like slow tides. This is when the body does its deepest repair work. Tissues are rebuilt, the immune system strengthens. In children, growth hormone is released. If someone wakes you during N3, you'll feel groggy, disoriented, and heavy, as if pulled too suddenly from a deep ocean. Dreaming can occur in N3, but it's different. These dreams are more muted flashes, impressions, emotional echoes. The vivid, surreal dream world most people associate with sleep is reserved for REM. After N3, the brain transitions into REM sleep. Rapid eye movement. This is the dream factory. Here, brain activity surges, muscles become paralyzed, and the most emotional, visual, and story-like dreams emerge. The first REM cycle may be brief, just 10 minutes, but with each passing cycle through the night, REM periods grow longer. By early morning, they may last nearly an hour. These 4 stages in N1, N2, N3, and REM form one full sleep cycle, typically lasting about 90 minutes. Over the course of a night, you'll repeat this cycle 4 to 6 times. Early cycles are rich in deep sleep, while later ones feature longer REM periods. Your brain prioritizes what you need, physical restoration first, then emotional and cognitive processing. This rhythm matters. When the cycle is disrupted by stress, caffeine, irregular schedules, or blue light from screens, it can throw everything off. You might wake feeling unrefreshed even after a full night in bed. You might get stuck in shallow sleep or miss out on crucial REM time. Over time, this affects memory, mood, immunity, and even creativity. Uninterrupted cycles allow your brain to do its quiet work. It's like running a nightly maintenance program. Each stage contributes something unique. Skipping deep sleep leaves you tired. Missing REM leaves you emotionally raw. Together, the stages create a harmony, one that your body depends on, even if you're unaware of it. At the Cosmic Whisper, we see sleep not as silence, but as structure. Not as passive rest, but as a beautiful routine playing out behind the curtain of your eyelids. A nightly architecture where the brain builds, repairs, cleans, and dreams. And all you have to do is surrender to it. For something we all do every night, dreaming remains one of the great unsolved mysteries of the mind. Science has studied the structure of sleep, tracked brain waves, and even mapped areas that light up during REM. But the question of why we dream, why the brain spends such vivid, emotional, and often illogical stories while we sleep still doesn't have one clear answer. What we have instead are a handful of compelling theories, each offering a different piece of the puzzle. One of the leading ideas is that dreams help consolidate memory. During the day, your brain absorbs a flood of information, faces, facts, impressions, sounds. At night, it needs to sort through it all. Dreams might be the brain's way of filtering and filing. Important memories are kept, unnecessary ones are discarded, and strange connections are formed between unrelated experiences. That's why you might dream about a friend you saw briefly, mixed with a task you've been dreading, inside a place you haven't visited in years. The brain is reorganizing its storage, and the dream is the side effect. Another theory focuses on emotional processing. In REM sleep, the brain becomes emotionally active. Regions like the amygdala light up, but stress hormones like norepinephrine. Stay low. This creates a space where emotionally charged memories can be revisited and softened. It's like the brain is replaying difficult moments, but with the emotional volume turned down. You might dream about a breakup, a loss, or a fear, but the dream lets you approach it safely distorted, symbolic, and with just enough distance to begin healing. Then there's the threat simulation theory. This idea suggests that dreams evolved as a kind of mental rehearsal for danger. In dreams, we're often being chased, lost, trapped, or unprepared. These scenarios, while stressful, give the brain a safe environment to practice how it might react in real life. For our ancestors, rehearsing escape from predators or social conflict could have been a matter of survival. Even today, people raised in more dangerous environments often report more vivid, intense dreams, as if the brain stays on alert, even in sleep. The activation synthesis theory takes a different angle. It suggests that dreams don't have a purpose at all, not in the way we expect. According to this view, REM sleep triggers random bursts of neural activity in the brainstem. These signals activate different areas: visual, auditory, emotional. The cerebral cortex, the storytelling part of your brain, tries to make sense of this chaos. It builds a narrative even if it makes no sense. That's why your dream might involve flying over your high school while wearing shoes made of toast. The brain is improvising, finding patterns in randomness. For children, dreaming may serve a different function, entirely cognitive development. Kids dream more than adults, and their dreams are often wildly imaginative, filled with talking animals, strange powers, and surreal adventures. These dreams might help the developing brain grow emotional intelligence, problem-solving skills, and creativity. A child dreaming about fighting a spaghetti dragon isn't just being silly, they're flexing the imaginative muscles that help them navigate an unknown world. No matter the theory, one thing is clear: dreams spark creativity in ways waking thought often can't. Paul McCartney heard the melody to Yesterday in a dream. Mary Shelley said Frankenstein came to her in a nighttime vision. Auguste Kekule dreamed of a snake biting its tail, which led him to the structure of the benzene molecule. In dreams, the mind can bypass the rules. It's not confined by logic or time. It can imagine new things, make strange leaps, and find solutions that don't exist in the daylight. At the Cosmic Whisper, we don't need to choose one explanation. Maybe dreams are part memory, part emotion, part survival rehearsal, and part beautiful accident. Maybe they serve more than one purpose or change depending on who we are, what we're going through, and what our minds need most. What matters is that every night, your brain spins stories not to entertain you, but to understand you. Stories that come from somewhere deeper than reason. Stories that try, in their strange and flickering way, to help you grow. While you sleep, your brain begins its most mysterious production, building a dream. It pulls from fragments of memory, flashes of emotion, and layers of imagination to construct a world that feels real, even when it makes no sense. But how exactly does it do that? Which parts of the brain are involved in shaping these strange and vivid experiences? The process begins with something unexpected: silence in the prefrontal cortex. This region is the seat of logic, planning, and decision-making when you're awake. It helps you organize your thoughts, recognize reality, and stop yourself from sending impulsive late-night messages. But during REM sleep, the prefrontal cortex powers down. Without its oversight, the brain becomes more spontaneous. That's why your dreams often feel strange, illogical, or wildly creative. With the editor asleep, the rest of the mind gets to run wild. At the same time, the amygdala becomes highly active. This small, almond-shaped structure is the emotional core of the brain. It processes fear, joy, anger, and everything in between. In dreams, the amygdala infuses stories with deep emotional charge. A simple image like walking through a hallway can feel heavy with meaning. A memory can become overwhelming, a conversation suddenly tearful or terrifying. Even if the dream's events are nonsensical, the emotions feel real because the amygdala is lighting them up from within. Memory enters the picture through the hippocampus, the brain's librarian. The hippocampus stores and retrieves the events of your life, helping you recognize familiar people, places, and feelings. But during REM, it's only partially active. This means your brain can grab pieces of memories, your old bedroom, a childhood teacher, yesterday's conversation, but it doesn't always place them in the right order. Dreams become puzzles built from real moments, rearranged in strange symbolic ways. Visual imagery, one of the strongest features of dreaming, is shaped by the occipital lobe. Located at the back of your brain, this region processes sight. During REM sleep, it lights up even though your eyes are closed. That's why dreams are so vividly visual. You see colors, faces, movement, even light. And if you were born blind, the brain still creates rich sensory dreams, just not with images. Instead, sound, touch, and spatial awareness take center stage. Your brain will always find a way to build the stage. Then there are PGO waves, short for pontogeniculo-occipital waves. These are bursts of activity that begin in the pons, a part of the brainstem, move through the geniculate nucleus, linked to vision, and end in the occipital cortex. PGO waves are thought to be the ignition switch for REM sleep. They may be what kickstarts the dream, triggering the sequence of neural activity that creates motion, images, and narrative. Like a spark before a fireworks show, PGO waves begin the surreal light show in your mind, because the prefrontal cortex is quiet. The amygdala is active, and the hippocampus is only half awake. Dreams take on a particular flavor, illogical, emotional, and deeply visual. You might dream of running through a forest that becomes a classroom, only to realize you're also underwater and somehow still breathing. It doesn't follow the rules of time or space, but in the moment, it feels right. At the cosmic whisper. We don't try to fix the chaos, we admire it. Your brain, without input from the outside world, weaves entire scenes with emotion, color, and movement. And it does this while you rest. Every night, this delicate interplay of brain regions creates something entirely new. A dream isn't just a story, it's a neural performance. One you didn't write, but one that belongs entirely to you, lucid. Dreaming is one of the most fascinating and rare experiences the human mind can offer. A moment when you're dreaming, and you know it. You're inside the dream, surrounded by its strange logic and shifting scenery, but something clicks. You realize none of it is real, and sometimes that awareness gives you control. You can fly, change the setting, speak to someone you've lost, or simply observe with quiet awe, knowing you're inside a dream and watching your mind unfold in real time. Scientifically, lucid dreaming is considered a hybrid state of consciousness. You're in REM sleep with all the vivid imagery and emotional depth it brings, but your brain has partially reactivated areas usually quiet during sleep. In particular, parts of the prefrontal cortex begin to light up again, especially regions tied to self-awareness and critical thinking. It's as if your logical mind peeks in on your dreaming mind and softly says, "I see you." Brain scans of lucid dreamers show a unique pattern, a mix of REM activity and conscious control. This blend is rare and delicate. Most dreams don't reach this level of clarity. But with practice, some people can train themselves to become lucid more often. There are several techniques dreamers use to reach lucidity. One of the most common is mild mnemonic induction of lucid dreams. With this method, you wake up after 5 hours of sleep, focus on your intention to realize you're dreaming, and repeat a phrase like, "Next time I'm dreaming, I'll remember I'm dreaming," as you fall back asleep. The goal is to carry that awareness into the dream. Another is wild wake-induced lucid dreaming. This is more advanced. You try to keep your mind awake while your body falls asleep. If done successfully, you slip directly from wakefulness into a lucid dream. It's a delicate transition, often accompanied by sleep paralysis or strange hallucinations, but it offers the possibility of immediate entry into the dream world. Then there are reality checks. During the day, you ask yourself, "Am I dreaming?" Over and over. You try to push your finger through your palm, look at a clock twice, or read a sentence twice to see if it changes. These simple tests often fail in dreams. And if you build the habit while awake, you're more likely to remember to do it while dreaming, leading to a moment of realization. Why pursue lucid dreaming at all? For some, it's simply the wonder of it. The freedom to fly, to explore impossible worlds, to experience beauty beyond waking limits. For others, it's therapeutic. People who suffer from recurring nightmares, especially trauma survivors, can use lucidity to confront their fears. Imagine realizing you're in the middle of a nightmare, turning to face the monster and saying, "You're not real. I'm in control." That moment can be healing. It can shift how someone feels not just in dreams, but in waking life too. Lucid dreams have also been used for creative exploration. Artists, writers, musicians have found inspiration in their lucid journeys. In this space, the mind is uninhibited by rules. It can combine thoughts in ways that waking logic never would. Entire melodies, images, or story ideas can emerge fully formed. And because the brain doesn't fully distinguish between imagined action and real experience, practicing a skill inside a lucid dream like playing an instrument or rehearsing a speech may carry real-world benefits. Still, lucid dreaming isn't always easy. Some people never experience it. Others find it fleeting or difficult to maintain. Control inside a dream can be unstable. One moment you're flying, the next you're sinking. Emotions can take over. Awareness can fade. The dream can collapse. There are also limits and risks. Some people become so focused on achieving lucidity that they disrupt their sleep, waking themselves in the middle of the night to practice techniques. Others report feeling detached from waking life, confused about what's real and what isn't. For a few, lucid dreams become too intense, flooded with imagery, noise, or emotion that becomes overwhelming rather than freeing. At the Cosmic Whisper, we approach lucid dreaming not as a goal, but as a possibility. Something to welcome gently if it arrives, but not chase at the cost of rest. The wonder of lucidity is not in controlling the dream, it's in realizing that awareness can rise even in the quietest, strangest corners of the mind. That even while you sleep, a part of you can wake and watch. Not all dreams are gentle. Sometimes the mind, in the quiet of night, delivers something darker, a rush of fear, a sense of being trapped, a vision so vivid it lingers long after waking. These experiences fall into three main forms: nightmares, night terrors, and sleep paralysis. Each one is different, each one unsettling, and each gives us a glimpse into how deeply emotion and dreaming are connected. Nightmares are the most familiar. They're vivid, disturbing dreams that usually happen during REM sleep. You're immersed in the dream, you feel everything, and often the emotion is fear. You might be chased, lost, falling, or facing something you don't want to see. Sometimes, the fear is abstract, being unprepared, abandoned, exposed. And when you wake, the feeling stays. Your heart races. You may remember every detail. But underneath the fear, nightmares serve a purpose. Many researchers believe they help your brain process emotional stress. They give you a safe space to rehearse danger, revisit trauma, or work through unresolved fear. It's the brain's way of saying, "This matters, we need to feel it, to face it." In people with PTSD, nightmares often take on a more persistent, painful role. These dreams don't just reflect emotional states, they repeat the trauma again and again. Sometimes they're literal flashbacks. Other times, they're symbolic replays of the same fear. For survivors, this can make sleep a place of dread, not rest. Instead of soothing, the dream becomes a wound reopening every night. But there are ways to shift this. One approach is imagery rehearsal therapy. In this method, the person visualizes the nightmare while awake, but rewrites it. They change the ending, introduce safety, resolve the fear. Then, they rehearse the new version in their mind again and again. Over time, the brain may adopt this revised script during sleep, reducing the nightmare's frequency and power. Night terrors are something else entirely. These happen during non-REM deep sleep, usually early in the night. They're more common in children, but adults can experience them too. In a night terror, the person might sit up suddenly, scream, thrash, or appear terrified, but they're not fully awake. Their eyes may be open, but they're unreachable, as if caught between sleep and wakefulness. And in the morning, they usually don't remember a thing. It's not a dream in the traditional sense. It's a burst of panic from the brainstem, a kind of misfired alarm. The body reacts as if in danger, but the mind isn't conscious of what's happening. For those watching a parent, a partner, it can be deeply unsettling. But for the person experiencing it, the terror is often invisible by morning. Then there's sleep paralysis, a strange and frightening bridge between dreaming and waking. It happens when your mind wakes up before your body does. You're aware, but you can't move. You might feel a weight on your chest, see shadows in the room, or hear whispers that aren't real. These hallucinations, called hypnagogic or hypnopompic, are fragments of dream imagery leaking into wakefulness. Historically, these experiences were blamed on spirits or demons, and even today, the fear they cause feels otherworldly. But it's a glitch, harmless, temporary, and deeply rooted in REM sleep mechanics. During REM, your body is paralyzed to stop you from acting out dreams. Sleep paralysis is what happens when that paralysis lingers after the mind has awakened. All of these experiences nightmares, night terrors, sleep paralysis show how sensitive the brain is to emotion and how sleep isn't always peaceful. But they also reveal the brain's attempt to cope. Whether it's working through fear, reacting to stress, or trying to protect you from acting out your dreams, there's purpose behind the chaos. At the Cosmic Whisper, we treat these dark corners of sleep with the same quiet attention we give to the lighter ones. Because they too are part of dreaming, part of healing, and part of what makes the sleeping mind so endlessly human. Dreams are not just stray thoughts floating through the night. They're reflections. They mirror what you carry during the day, often more honestly than your waking self allows. When the mind is overwhelmed, when emotion builds up unspoken, when trauma hasn't found a voice, dreams can speak. Not always clearly, but insistently. And what they say often holds a direct link to your mental health. In depression, dreams tend to take on a flat, repetitive tone. People report dull colors, heavy emotions, and scenarios that loop without resolution. There's a feeling of emotional numbness, even inside the dream. Nothing quite finishes. Nothing quite begins. It mirrors the waking experience of depression, a lack of movement, a stuckness that feels both quiet and unbearable. Anxiety dreams, by contrast, are louder. They burst with threat, confusion, and pressure. You might dream of missing a train, forgetting an exam, being chased or frozen. The fear doesn't always make sense, but it's intense and urgent. Even small worries from the day can become magnified in dreams, reshaped into impossible scenarios. The brain, trying to process stress, ends up rehearsing it instead. Trauma changes the landscape of dreaming entirely. In many people with PTSD, dreams don't just reflect emotional pain, they repeat it. Recurring nightmares revisit the traumatic event or evoke the same fear in symbolic forms. Sleep becomes dangerous territory. And because a REM sleep is where emotional processing usually takes place, when trauma disrupts that process, the healing that should happen at night gets stuck. The brain replays the same story, trying to make sense of it, but without resolution. Dream fragmentation is one of the clearest signs that something is emotionally out of balance. When dreams feel broken, jarring, or disconnected, they often reflect a mind that's struggling to integrate its own experience. Just like a puzzle. Missing pieces, the dream fails to form a coherent picture. This is especially common during periods of grief, transition, or psychological overload. The brain is trying, but the weight it's carrying is too heavy for clear storytelling. Medication can also shape the dream world. Many antidepressants and anti-anxiety drugs affect REM sleep. Some suppress it entirely, others reduce dream recall, and some cause REM rebound, where, after a change in dosage, people suddenly experience vivid, emotionally intense dreams. This doesn't mean the medication is wrong. It simply shows how finely tuned the brain is and how shifts in chemistry ripple through sleep. The relationship between mood and dreaming is intimate. Change one, and the other moves too. Despite all this, dreams aren't just symptoms, they're also resources. Your brain uses them as therapy. You may not remember the dream, but the emotional work is happening anyway. You process arguments, losses, fears, hopes. You replay moments, explore alternatives, or rewrite endings. And sometimes, dreams say what you're not yet ready to say aloud. They grieve when you can't. They scream when you've been silent. They laugh when you've forgotten how. That's why some therapists encourage clients to keep dream journals. Not to decode every image or assign meanings to every symbol, but to notice patterns, a shift in mood, a recurring theme, a figure that keeps returning. These fragments, when viewed gently, can help surface what's hiding beneath daily thought. They're not magic, they're memory, emotion, and imagination, working together behind the scenes. There's a growing interest in dream analysis for mental health, not as a diagnostic tool, but as a window. Some researchers are using AI to look for emotional cues in dream descriptions. Others are exploring how sleep patterns and dream content change in early stages of depression or anxiety. The idea isn't to turn dreams into hard data, but to listen more closely to what the mind is already saying. At the Cosmic Whisper, we believe that dreams are not just strange stories. They are messages written in metaphor, feelings turned into flickers of light and sound. When your mind feels heavy, your dreams might become louder. When you're healing, they may soften. And even when they make no sense, they are still yours. A nightly mirror held up to your inner world. Quiet, honest, and waiting to be seen. If you've ever watched a dog twitch in its sleep, or a cat softly chirp while dozing in the sun, you've likely wondered, do animals dream? While they can't describe what they experience, science suggests the answer is almost certainly yes. The evidence lives in their still bodies and flickering eyes, in the way they move as if chasing something only they can see. And behind it all is REM sleep, the same stage in which humans do most of their vivid dreaming. Dogs and cats both experience REM sleep. You can see it in the way their legs paddle mid-nap, or their ears twitch in response to imagined sounds. During REM, their brains show electrical activity strikingly similar to ours. Their bodies go limp, their eyes dart beneath their lids, and something invisible begins to unfold behind the silence. Birds dream too. Zebra finches, for example, rehearse their songs while they sleep. In studies, the same neurons that fire when a bird sings during the day reactivate during sleep, almost like they're practicing the melody in their dreams. This rehearsal may help young birds learn their songs more effectively, a dream-based refinement of skill. Even reptiles long thought too primitive for dreaming show signs of REM-like sleep. Certain species of lizards cycle between brain states that resemble human REM and non-REM stages. This suggests that the roots of dreaming may stretch back hundreds of millions of years, far deeper in evolutionary history than once imagined. One of the most remarkable insights comes from lab rats. In a famous experiment, researchers trained rats to run a maze while monitoring their brain activity. Each step created a unique neural pattern. Later, while the rats slept, those exact patterns played again, almost as if they were dreaming of the maze. It was as if the brain was reliving the day, walking the same path, rehearsing or remembering. If animals dream, what do they dream about? While we can't know for certain, the most likely answer is, what matters to them? A dog might dream of a familiar walk, a cat of stalking something in the grass, a bird of its nest or its mate or the sound of wind. The content of animal dreams seems tied to behavior and memory, what they do, what they've learned, and what they feel. And yes, your pet likely dreams of you. If you're the center of their daily life, your scent, your voice, your routines are etched into their memory. It's not hard to imagine that those memories resurface at night, reshaped into dream form. When your dog whines in its sleep, or your cat reaches out a paw, it might be reacting to a dream version of you, familiar, comforting, present even in rest. These findings open more than just scientific questions. They invite ethical and philosophical ones too. If animals dream, they don't just react to the world, they remember it, they imagine, they revisit. That changes how we see them. Not as simple beings driven only by instinct, but as creatures with inner lives, emotions, and perhaps something like a private sense of experience. At the Cosmic Whisper, we believe dreams connect us, not just to each other, but across species. We may never know what a sleeping dog sees or what a bird's dream sounds like, but we can recognize the signs of a shared mystery. That while we rest and they rest beside us, something gentle unfolds in the quiet, a flicker of memory. A dream of home, a soft story that no one else will ever see, but that still deserves to be felt. For centuries, dreams were locked away, personal, silent, untouchable. You could wake with a vivid image, a strange emotion, a half-formed memory, but the dream itself would vanish before anyone else could see it. Now science is beginning to change that. With new tools and experiments, researchers are taking the first steps towards something once thought impossible. Recording dreams. It begins with EEG, a way of tracking brain waves through sensors placed on the scalp. EEG shows how the brain moves through sleep stages, shifting from light to deep into REM, where most dreams occur. But EEG is broad, tells us when dreaming is likely happening, not what's inside the dream. To go deeper, scientists turn to fMRI, functional magnetic resonance imaging. This technology measures changes in blood flow in the brain, showing which areas are active in real time. And when paired with machine learning, fMRI can do something extraordinary. It can start to decode the images inside the mind. In Japan, researchers at the ATR, Computational Neuroscience Laboratories, ran a groundbreaking experiment. They had participants look at hundreds of images while awake animals, faces, objects, landscapes, and recorded the brain's activity patterns. Each image created a kind of neural fingerprint. Later, when those same participants fell asleep in the fMRI machine, the team compared the brain activity during early dream stages to the waking data. The result, with about 60% accuracy, they could guess what kind of image the person was dreaming about. Not the full dream, not the story, but broad categories: a face, a tree, a book, a building. At the University of California, another team went even further. Using fMRI and AI, they built rough visual reconstructions of what participants were seeing while awake. These weren't exact replicas, they looked like smeared paintings, or memories glimpsed through fog. But still, they carried resemblance. A blurry dog shape, a half-formed figure. It was the first time brain data had been translated into visible images, a visual mirror of internal thought. These early attempts are limited. They don't capture full dreams. They rely on pre-learned image categories, and the reconstructions are vague, almost abstract. The technology can't yet decode the dream's story, emotion, or symbolism. but its progress. From total mystery to blurry glimpses, the door is beginning to open, and the implications are stunning. If we can one day decode more of the brain's language, turn electrical activity into moving images, or recreate dream scenes with accuracy, we might understand the subconscious in entirely new ways. It could offer tools for therapy, insight into emotional processing, or ways for people who can't speak to share what they experience inside. But there are questions too. If dreams can be seen, can they be stored? Could they be shared? What about privacy? Dreams are some of the most personal expressions we have, raw, unfiltered, and often fragile. The ability to record them could change not only how we understand the brain, but how we define the self. At the Cosmic Whisper, we approach this new science with wonder and caution. Because while it's incredible to imagine watching your own dream the next day, there's something sacred about the fact that, for now, dreams belong only to the dreamer. Even as machines peer into the mind, some parts of the night may always remain in shadow, half remembered, emotionally vivid, and beautifully unspoken. Dreams have always felt like something that just happened, like weather inside the mind. But now, science is asking a provocative question. Can we shape them? Can we gently guide the stories our brains tell at night, without waking up or forcing control? This growing field is called targeted dream incubation, and it's opening new possibilities at the edge of consciousness. The idea is simple. Use carefully timed cues, sounds, words, smells, or images delivered during specific stages of sleep, especially during light sleep or REM, to influence the content of dreams. These cues don't snap you awake. They drift into the sleeping mind, blending into whatever the brain is already building. If done right, they can nudge a dream in a desired direction. In one experiment, researchers played the sound of waterfalls during sleep. Participants were more likely to dream of nature, rivers, or outdoor scenes. In another study, people who were learning a task during the day were exposed to specific sounds related to that task during sleep. Their dreams incorporated those elements, and their memory of the task improved. It's as if the brain takes the cue and runs with it, weaving it into the narrative already unfolding. Lucid dreaming offers another way to guide dreams, this time from within. Once a person becomes aware that they're dreaming, they may be able to steer the dream in helpful directions. For people with recurring nightmares, especially those connected to trauma, this can be therapeutic. Lucidity gives them a chance to confront fear, alter the story, or even rehearse safety. A nightmare turns into a conversation. A moment of powerlessness becomes a moment of control. Technology is now catching up with these ideas. Wearable headbands and earbuds are being developed that monitor brain waves during sleep and deliver cues at just the right moment. Some play sounds linked to a desired dream topic. Others use gentle vibrations or voice prompts. The goal is to create tools that help people sleep better, solve problems, or work through emotional stress by gently shaping what the brain focuses on while it rests. But with this possibility comes concern. If we can influence dreams, where do we draw the line? Could cues be used not just for therapy or creativity, but for advertising? Could people be nudged toward certain feelings, beliefs, or desires while they sleep? The very thing that makes dreams powerful, their emotional depth and openness, also makes them vulnerable. This is why researchers and ethicists are beginning to talk about neural rights, a new category of personal protection for the inner world. Just like we have rights to our data, our speech, our identity, we may need rights to our thoughts, our dreams, our unconscious. At the Cosmic Whisper, we view dream hacking not as control, but as collaboration. The goal isn't to script your dreams, but to guide them gently, like shaping a garden with soft hands. And always with respect for the mystery of the mind, for the privacy of the dreamer, and for the quiet truth that sometimes the most healing stories are the ones that Come uninvited. The future of dream science is no longer the stuff of science fiction. With each quiet breakthrough, each brain scan, each experiment, each gentle cue delivered mid-sleep, we move closer to understanding and shaping the most mysterious space in the mind. Dreams are no longer seen as random byproducts of sleep, but as opportunities. And the applications could be both profound and deeply personal. One of the most promising areas is trauma healing. People with PTSD often suffer from recurring nightmares, reliving the worst moments of their life's night after night. But with tools like imagery rehearsal therapy and targeted dream incubation, we may soon be able to help the brain rewrite those scripts. Sound cues or visual reminders played during sleep could support emotional reprocessing. Lucid dreaming might offer a way for people to confront their fears on their own terms. In the future, dream therapy could become a standard part of trauma recovery, a safe space where healing begins while the world is quiet. Dream shaping might also be used to help children build emotional skills. Imagine guiding a child through dream stories where they face challenges, express fear, learn courage, or find comfort. These experiences could help the developing brain rehearse empathy, resilience, and self-awareness. For children with anxiety, gentle cues might steer dreams toward calmness or resolution, turning sleep into a place of growth, not just rest. Even skill rehearsal could become part of dream science. The brain doesn't fully distinguish between real experience and imagined practice. Musicians, athletes, and performers have reported improvement after visualizing tasks in vivid detail. If we could extend that into dreams, playing piano in sleep, rehearsing a speech, practicing a difficult conversation, the possibilities for learning and mastery expand dramatically. Dreams become rehearsal spaces, unbounded by fear or failure. Artificial intelligence may play a central role in this evolution. Already, machine learning is being used to decode brain activity and build early dream reconstructions. In the future, AI could help identify emotional patterns in dreams, suggest therapeutic cues, or even create mood-responsive environments. Imagine a system that detects rising stress during REM and responds with calming imagery, like rain or ocean waves. AI would become not just a tool, but a partner in supporting mental and emotional health through sleep. Virtual reality may also blur the boundary between waking and dreaming. Developers are creating dream-inspired VR environments that respond to emotion-soft landscapes, shifting skies, immersive worlds that feel like lucid dreams. These could be used before sleep to influence dream content, or as waking spaces that echo the surreal logic of dreaming. The aim is not to replace dreams, but to extend their language into waking life, creating a loop between inner and outer worlds. And yet, so much remains unknown. We still don't fully understand why we dream, what each image means, or how dreams shape memory and identity over time. We're only beginning to ask the right questions. Can dreams be shared? Can they be stored? Should they be? What happens when the boundary between internal thought and external technology begins to blur? At the Cosmic Whisper, we move forward with curiosity and care. Because no matter how far science takes us, dreams will likely always hold a trace of mystery, a shimmer we can't quite catch. They are deeply human, deeply personal, and beautifully strange. The future of dream science may offer new tools, new healing, and new wonder. But it will never take away the quiet truth that your dreams, in all their wildness and wisdom, still belong only to you. We've wandered through the shifting landscapes of the dreaming mind through REM cycles, memory replays, emotional rehearsals, and strange nocturnal visions that blur the line between meaning and mystery. We've seen how the brain, even in rest, never truly stops. It builds stories, relives moments, sorts through fears, and stretches the edges of imagination, all while your body lies still. Science has shown us so much. It's mapped the brain during sleep, traced dreams to neural circuits, and even begun to capture their faint outlines on a screen. We've learned that dreams help us heal, help us remember, help us prepare for what's hard and imagine what's possible. We've begun to shape them gently, guide them with sound or intention, and use them as tools for growth and recovery. And still, something remains untouched. Despite all our knowledge, dreams continue to surprise us. They speak a language only the dreamer fully feels. They echo with emotion, shimmer with symbols, and slip through our fingers the moment we wake. They are part science, part poetry. Private, fragile, and endlessly human dot at the cosmic whisper. We believe dreams are not puzzles to be solved, but stories to be heard. They don't always need explanation, just attention. So as you close your eyes tonight, let your mind take over. Let it write whatever it needs to, build whatever it wants to, and wander freely without judgment. The lights may go out, but the story never stops. Even in the dark, your mind keeps creating quietly, mysteriously, beautifully. Sleep well.